Ferrari's weekend in Hungary turned from bad to worse, and Leclerc opened up about his true feelings about the Maranello-based squad. The Monegasque driver was leading the race for the majority of it and looked like he was dictating the pace. But when the pit stops came, we saw how disappointingly his pace dropped. Were these early signs that Leclerc's fate in Ferrari is doomed? And more importantly, should he leave in order to seek a championship in his career? Ferrari's disaster class came live in action during the Hungarian Grand Prix. Leclerc did everything that was asked of him. He kept both McLarens behind and built a steady lead ahead of Piastri. At certain points, many believed this could be a one-stop race, but both Piastri and Leclerc committed to the two-stop strategy. However, it turned devastatingly wrong for the Monegasque driver. The first stint was extremely good for him, but once the car started to get lighter, it became obvious that Leclerc was not going to be competitive, not just for the win, but for the podium as well. Let's not forget that the erratic driving Leclerc showed when being attacked by Russell ended up with him receiving a 5-second time penalty. Luckily, Alonso was too far behind, and Leclerc was able to keep the fourth seat to himself. However, it goes to show that he's very disappointed in his team's strategy and the behavior of the car, which is something that needs to be fixed very soon if they're going to keep Leclerc on board once his contract runs out. It's quite a disappointment to see one of the best, if not the best, drivers on the grid suffer from such failures. Not just from team strategy, but from the car itself. Yes, I know what you're thinking. He was going to finish ahead of both McLarens on pure pace. And you're probably right. Despite the strategy split for both McLaren drivers, Leclerc was always poised to have a very, very difficult time keeping them behind in the latter part of the race when their car comes alive. But still, the team didn't listen to him for God knows what reason, and that's something he shared live on the radio. In the middle of this entire breakdown, when he exited the second pit stop and it became obvious that he wasn't going to win the race, he went on to say, "This is so incredibly frustrating. We've lost all competitiveness. You just have to listen to me. I would have found a different way of managing those issues. Now it's just undrivable. It's a miracle if we finish on the podium." That had come true. However, let's focus on what matters most, and that's the behavior of the car. Once the SF25 gets lighter, Hamilton has extremely big problems with the chassis. They have to lift and coast in order to keep the plank within the allowed limit. Therefore, if Leclerc was on a one-stop at one point, I think it would have been a sitting duck and just been passed by both MCL39S and Russell as well. The problems that Ferrari has to fix right now, although majorly focused on strategy, are on the car too. At one point in the race, Leclerc was adamant that there are certain things that need to be discussed before the race if the team plans to implement them, and not improvise and implement them as they feel. Obviously, Verstappen's extension of the contract couldn't have come a worse time because the pole-to-win ratio has taken yet another downfall. And not only that, but Leclerc has seen one more reality in front of him. He cannot win with Ferrari. I don't know what the 2026 regulations hold, but if he wants to be a champion, perhaps it would be best to seek refuge in another team. No other squad offers that seat, however, so he's stuck with Ferrari and their loophole of problems. Even Leclerc himself was notified that from the 40th lap onwards, there was a problem with the chassis. Elaborating further on that, he said, "In the car, I didn't have all the information. Now I have. We had an issue from lap 40 on the chassis. From that moment, I was just a passenger. I'm disappointed, but these are the races. At least I know what happened in the background." Even when Ferrari looks like they're having a good weekend, you can just see how disappointing it all turns out for Leclerc. From P1 to P4, that must be a very tough pill to swallow. And the general belief from the first stint was that he could cover the McLarens even after getting onto the hard tire on the first pit stop. He was able to keep Piastri behind and defend his position. If we ignore the sprint race win of Hamilton in China, Ferrari is winless in 2025, and they were dubbed to enter as the favorites with McLaren back in February, as we saw from preseason testing. So, it's definitely a bit of a painful question and debate that I have to open here. But is Ferrari the right team for Leclerc? The fact that he went to P1 on Saturday, while Hamilton failed to enter Q3, showed that he's still the prince in the Maranello-based squad, indicating that he can adapt to the changes and to the general behavior of the car in a much better manner. However, that's far from enough when it comes to bringing championships to your team. This is precisely why Ferrari has ruined the careers of proven champions like Alonso and Vettel. And this might be why Leclerc would be smart to think outside of the box and see if there would be an opening in another team in the foreseeable future. Of course, this is just an idea, and I'm not speculating that he is already looking for a way out of the team. I'm simply clarifying that if Ferrari gets the new regulations wrong, then it would be clear as the sky that it's going to be a long couple of years for them before a new change comes. And then with that new change, who knows? Maybe they're going to fall again because they're not doing anything to fix their existing issues. This is the primary problem that needs to be addressed, not just on the pit wall, but back in Maranello as well. Solutions that work. We've seen that with McLaren. The entire reconstruction in 2023 helped them climb to the top of the mountain in just 1 year. We've also witnessed that Vasseur has been fired after 20 years in the team because of lack of results. So what's stopping Ferrari from making radical changes in order to help their drivers win a championship for the first time since 2007? With all of this in mind, do you think that Leclerc's anger towards Ferrari is justified, despite him learning about the chassis problems from the 40th lap of the race? And more importantly, do you think there's a legitimate chance for him to win a championship with the Maranello-based squad in the foreseeable future? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.